I'm Mike Ducey from Fox 4. Make sure to tune in to the DenCoGridiron Show.
Welcome. We are here live in studio on a special live Friday afternoon edition. I'm joined in studio with Stephen Peters, Texas high school football insider. How you doing, sir?
I wouldn't go that far. I'm just a little freelance guy. You want insiders, you want to talk to Matt Stepp, and that's a different pay grade.
Matt Stepp. Yeah, hey, Matt Stepp's a friend of the show. He's been on a couple times, but
love Matt Stepp.
You're up here in Denton. We're right off the square. Man, a lot of crazy stuff going on, Stephen. They're getting ready to light the Christmas tree up here on the town square in Denton. If you're in the area, come up here. I think it starts at 5:30. Goes, I think, all night long. There's all kinds of things around the Denton Town Square and surrounding areas. If you're joining us from outside of Denton, Texas, I apologize in advance. But now you're headed up to Apogee Stadium to
just a little back on the square. There's some parking restraints right now. It made fun getting into the studio and finding the place. This is my first time visiting. But I'm heading over to Apogee after this wonderful appearance live on the show. So I'm excited for that. Because Matt did it. We're talking about Matt Stepp. He tweeted out his annual, how many stadiums he's been to, and he was approaching 250 or something like that.
Yeah, crazy. And the amount of games he's done.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go inside the mind of my own craziness and see how many I've been in. And so I've been in Texas high school football. The first year was in 2009. Took a 6-year break and then went back into it. This will be my 74th stadium to cover a football game, and only
still impressive.
I mean, as a freelancer, I'm not traveling the state like he is, so I'm gonna pat myself on the back on that one.
No, great job. Hey, share out the stream. You're probably getting ready for maybe watching some games on NFHS Network, tuning in to some radio action. Follow Stephen on his Twitter feed, and Stephen will try to put that up here later today. But make sure you share the stream out. We're going to be joined live here in a few minutes by newspaper Steve Gamble. He's down in Waco, Texas, going to be bringing us some insight to Denton Ryan, and you won't want to miss it. But Steve, why don't we start off with a little bit of Black Friday?
Oh man, it was the most absurd week of Texas high school football playoffs that I can remember, at least since I've been covering, and that was last Friday when 6 state champions from a year ago in the 2020 season were eliminated, and that's Argyle, Jim Ned, Sterling City, six-man football right there. Canadian, Carthage, who you asked me before the playoff starts, who's going to win in 4A D2, and I say it's going to be Carthage. And then Aledo, you almost automatically pick them because they're a 10-time state champion and they won it last year. So you almost go with the boys until somebody else knocks them off. So it was when the first one happened, you're like, Aledo losing to Sock. You heard rumbling that Sock could pull it off and everything like that. And it was just a cavalcade of upsets. And it ended with Argyle and Sterling City being those last two from last year's champions that were eliminated. So half of the UIL, well, not half, but 6 of the 14. Craziness, just absolute craziness. There's just, that's why I termed it, and when I made this outline, Black Friday, because it was just up was down was up, and left was
the Twitterverse went a little crazy. I mean, it was like a surprise to many, but that's what makes any high school competition just special, because I really say, Stephen, live sports is the best reality TV going, because you're not sure what's going to happen, what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get those made for TV moments, but it's not going to be a scripted TV moment that you might see on The Masked Singer or whatever, or whatever show that you're into. Shout out to reality TV, but I definitely prefer live sports for that, because you're going to see the unexpected.
Well, hey, let's talk a little bit, Argyle, coming off a state title run last year. We're set up, poised to repeat. And that's what's special about the DenCoGridiron, this Denton County football, Stephen, is so many great powerhouses, and just year in, year out, the talent and the way the coaches can just retool, next man up.
Yeah.
And, Coach Todd Rogers was definitely headed that way. I was following the game on Twitter and some other outlets, and it was a little surprising. I looked up, I think it was either 14 or 17 to nothing or 17-7. And then boom, I looked at the final score, and Argyle couldn't get anything going, I guess, in the second half.
Yeah, so Argyle jumps out to a quick 14-0 lead over Stephenville, and at the time, Stephenville still is undefeated because they ended up winning. Argyle only had the one loss, and that was to Melissa, and then they made a quarterback change, and everything kind of fell back into place, and Argyle was starting to play championship caliber football. But credit Stephenville. They limited Argyle after going down 14-0 to just 3 points over 3 quarters. Stephenville scored 21 straight, and they ended up winning 21-17. So knocking out the reigning, state champ in Argyle. That's Leighton Prater, who is also with DRC. I'll be seeing him later tonight over at Apogee. He got a little his first taste of upset Todd Rogers, which is a sight to behold sometimes. If you're lucky enough to be in that position. But, it's frustrating because he knew he had a team that was on the upswing. He was retooling mid-season, finally found everything that was working and going to push them deep into the playoffs. And it just, they ran into a buzzsaw in Stephenville. I think it's just one of those magical years for Stephenville. You kind of almost write them off just because they're on the outskirts of the DFW area. So you don't really pay too much attention to them and have a great sense of what they're about, but their defense tightened up after their offense put them in some very bad situations early, and they held their own and knocked them off, and now they're the man. That in my viewpoint, Melissa is their next opponent. They beat Argyle. You could almost say that Melissa should be the man now. Like no, it's Stephenville. They're undefeated and they knocked off the reigning champs. So until someone else then knocks off Stephenville, then that's who I'm rolling with.
Well, Stephen, a team we plan on, we're going to broaden our scope next season and cover a few more teams. Aubrey, who you'll be seeing tonight. Man, what a magical season they're having.
I love watching Aubrey because if you love smash mouth, old physical football, go out to Apogee tonight and watch that when Salina and Aubrey line up again. Braylon Callgrove and I'm blanking on his name now. Martavius Hill, those running backs, the dual running backs. It's a thunder and lightning type situation, and they are just so fun to watch and physically imposing up front on their offensive line. Same thing with their defensive line. Number 53, and I apologize, Palladino, I think is his last name. He had so many splash plays on defense. I think he had 5 or 6 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and a lot of quarterback hurries. He was fun to watch, and I got to talk with him. And he was just elated after the first one, and said that after he got the crowd got into it, and they were just kind of having their way with it, he just wanted more and more and more. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it's about. Just that smash mouth, angry type of football. And you're just hungry for more every time you get one taste of one.
Stephen, I was watching this one on the NFHS feed. No, actually CW33, I believe.
Yes.
The Byron Nelson, Denton Geyer. Of course, you've been working as the go-to insider, following the Denton Geyer beat all season. Most of the season.
Since October.
Shout out to our buddy Reese Waddell.
Yeah, shout out
Reese. Might be tuning in. Reese did a great job, and then moved on to Sanger Independent School District. Is their communications leader.
He's all our leaders here.
And I was actually texting with Reese last night. I always short notice. I said, hey, man, I'm over here watching the Dallas Cowboy New Orleans Saints game if you want to pop over. And, he recently married. Tip of the cap to you there, Reese. And he was having dinner with his lovely wife.
Yeah. Nah, he loves his wife.
Which he should.
Well, I mean, what I'm getting at is like the sense that you get from how much he loves his wife is almost unmeasurable. The what you see on social media, him and Steve, they're both very appreciative and everything like that. So shout out to those guys. Good dudes. I love them.
Yeah, that is good. But Denton Geyer, man, it went to the wire, man. I was, and I know you'll probably talk a little bit more about it, but when Byron Nelson just would not lay down, when it was fourth and about 1 or 2, I believe, or 4th and 3.
There's a couple of them.
Towards the end of the game, Byron Nelson still had the lead. I think 36-35. and they come in and they run that wildcat. You know, everybody in the stadium knew that the quarterback was going to run it, and he hesitated, and boom, Geyer's that 3-3-5 defense just squashed him for no gain, and then Geyer took over and Jackson Arnold did his thing and then went down and scored.
Yeah, and it was funny because you talk to these coaches and sometimes you just kind of get a lot of coach speak. And so when I was talking with Webb last week, he said, well, we're expecting a 40-minute game, and I'm like, really? I mean, okay, yes, of course you're gonna get a 40-minute game, but what does that really mean? And so they have had an issue with slow starts this year. That's been their bugaboo, and it reared their head in last week's game against Nelson. Nelson went up 10-0 first 8 minutes, and then Geyer flipped a switch from the 8-minute mark in the first quarter to about the 10-minute mark of the second. So that's about a 6-minute span where they then made it 21-10. And so we saw this little ebb and flow of double digits, single digits, double digits, single digits. Well, then Nelson made great adjustments in the second half coming out and shut them down again for the full third quarter. So it was a 12-0 run in the third quarter. And they, as you said, took the 36-35 lead. And then that was it. I mean, Geyer needed just one score. The defenses played tall, both sides. You saw it had a lot of empty yards in that fourth quarter, but when it mattered most, the offense got to score, got to the 2-point conversion, and then Peyton Bowen, man. The Bowen brothers are something to behold to watch on the defensive side. They fly, and they baited him a couple of times. Wilson is his name, from Byron Nelson, and he was on the far left or the short left hash closest to the press box to me, and he goes across the other side of the field. That's a quarterback no. You don't throw that long pass. And Peyton saw it, made a break, and that was church.
Hey, as a matter of fact, I think we have a short clip from the Bowen brothers. One of our beat reporters out there on the street, Lee Livingston, was on campus there at Denton Geyer on Tuesday and got a short clip. We'll have some more content coming out here in a couple of days. But before we hear from the Bowen brothers, let's give a quick shout out to our friends over there at Marty B's. If you are thinking about getting some hot wings or something order to take home to maybe watch a stream tonight, or maybe a burger or something before you head out to a stadium this weekend, Saturday, they're gonna have some live music. Check out our friends at martybsplace.com. You can order online, check out their music, what's happening this weekend. It's a great place. I talked to my good friend Marty Bryan. He says it's like coming to the Texas Hill Country and being on vacation, Stephen.
Oh, whoa, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I like the Hill Country.
You haven't checked it out yet. I think you're headed there soon.
I was actually just checking for the gift card. Oh, wow, I'm about to cause a calamity.
Hopefully you haven't lost that $25 gift card you had for being part of the show.
Absolutely, I still have recently. I was going to show it to the camera right over there, but I might have a collection of crap in my bag.
Yeah, we almost turned the desk over. That would have been very good.
Man. So much good stuff here.
Well, hey, let's listen to Peyton and Eli Bowen from Denton Geyer High School.
I say scheming and game plans coming into games, watching film, knowing their tendencies, just making a game plan for it and executing it, of course, because you're only as good as you can't coach talent. You got to come out there and play every game like it's your last and give it all, and then study like it's your last game too.
I think how good a chemistry we have and how good of coaching we have, and we're ready to play every game.
It really comes down to which people block the best and which people are not the best getting down there on the field for them. So I usually look at that, see who the slowest link is, if they close in a lot, look for cutback lanes and stuff on film, so that in the game it's easier for me to read through a progression.
Come out and watch us. Wear camo and watch us ball out.
We going 4-0. That's all I gotta say.
Trying to get our buddy newspaper Steve on the line.
Hello, you've reached Steve Campbell.
He's punking us,
man.
But let's cue up Coach Hennigan. Lee Livingston was actually on Denton Ryan's
Before we
campus.
do that, though, so just kind of wrap up what happened last week, Ryan, if you're not familiar and been living under a rock the last week, they did pass Longview for the second time this year. Much different result than the first time. Slugfest throughout, higher scoring than I think most people would have expected, but then Ryan wins it with a game-ending sack. So of course, defense helps them prevail. So it's good. It was a decent week for the 4 remaining. 3 out of 4 advance to the regional finals / the Brian Gossett state quarterfinals, whatever you want to call it. I call it the regional finals. So at me at I am Speeders if you want. I will ignore it and go about my day.
Should we try Steve again, or you think he's punking us?
I say we play Henny and try him.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm gonna queue up.
You are looking
Dave
live
Hennigan
at radio broadcast.
Yeah, that's how it works. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get Steve online so he can listen in to his good friend Dave Hennigan.
All right.
And then we'll queue up Coach Dave Hennigan. Trying to reach newspaper Steve in Waco, Texas.
This is Steve.
Is it?
Steve Gamble.
Hey, how's it going?
Man, welcome. We are live this time on the DenCoGridiron show, and we got our friend Steve Gamble from the Denton Record Chronicle calling in from Waco, Texas. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
Good. Well, hey, we want you to listen in as we play. We had a clip from Coach Dave Hennigan on Wednesday, and we'll listen in, and then we'll get your comments, and we'll break down and talk a little bit about Ryan Raider football. I believe you're at the Twisted Root. Have you had your dinner yet?
I did. I just finished. You've got impeccable timing there, Piper. I love it.
That is good timing. I'm not good at a lot of things, but calling you at the right time I'm about 9 for 10, I think. 9 for 10. So here we go. We're going to queue up Coach Dave Hennigan. You should be able to hear us, Steve, and here we go.
We had to do a little bit of everything. We faked a punt, we faked a field goal, we're very aggressive, and credit to them. I mean, a good team. They battled back and made a game out of it. And just this time of year, you just have to make plays at the right times, and and our kids did. They just found a way to win. It's pretty normal around here to play into December. Sometimes late December. So we are very aware of that. Teams that keep winning this time of year are talented. They're well coached and they have some luck, stay injury free. But a lot of people discount the freshness factor because when you're fresh, you still like coming to practice. And when you still like coming to practice, you're getting better all the way to the end of the season. And so we're very aware of that. So early in the season, right from the get-go in August, we don't practice for very long, hour and a half tops. Now we're practicing. I mean, today's practice was right in an hour. So we're not out for very long. Get on, get off, keep them fresh so that they're still excited to come to football. We're 5 months in, and so if they're still excited, they're getting better. This time of year, it takes a lot of things, no matter who you're playing. I mean, I think number one, you got to take care of the ball. The turnover war is huge. This week particularly, I think you got to do your best to control the running game, and I don't think you're going to stop them, but you got to control them and control the big plays. This time of year, whether it's this week or any other opponent, people are going to get yards against you. It's controlling what happens in the red zone. Can you hold teams to 0 or 3 when they get down there as opposed to touchdowns? And on the flip side, can you score touchdowns when you're down there instead of kicking field goals? A lot of times that determines the winner this time of year. Because we call it empty yards. What happens between the 25s is they're empty. What happens down inside the 25 is what determines who wins. And then, this week I think it's who's going to be the most physical team for 4 quarters. They're a physical football team. We got to match and exceed their physicality.
Well, Steve, and one thing that really impresses me about coaching again, and you've been covering Denton Ryan for many years and very close to that program, is his just laid back, California demeanor. You couldn't tell if that was a preseason scrimmage he's talking about or getting to the state quarterfinals. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Coach Hennigan does a fantastic job year in and year out. I mean, evidenced by, I think this is their 7th straight region final. And he's really got a hold on what he really wants to do with that program. I mean, he even alluded to it. They find ways to stay fresh. They don't wear their kids out. You're not going to see them in full pads, button heads and, the middle of practice and worrying about, having kids get injured and all that sort of stuff. They keep things short. They do things a little bit different than maybe when I was growing up and you were growing up playing football. And as a result, kids stay fresh. They want to play. And when you get to this time of the year, they're just chomping at the bit. They're ready to get out there and play football. So he does a fantastic job. I've been blessed to be able to cover them as well as every other, program in the Denton area. And it's they're definitely one of the best at what they do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Steve. For one, appreciate you jumping on with us again. So coming out of the Longview game, which was their second meeting with them this year, College Station is a different beast than Longview. So what is the, from Hennigan's perspective and maybe the players as well that you found out, what's the biggest worry in going up against College Station this week and tonight?
Well, I just think they've got so many weapons. I also think there's the revenge factor. Ryan beat College Station 52-21, I believe, in the second round last year. So there's a little bit of a revenge factor that I'm sure is on the mind of College Station. They've got a lot of guys back. I've seen anywhere from 13 to 18 returning starters. So they've got a lot of guys in there, and they just know how to move the ball, get the ball into the hands of a bunch of different playmakers. The quarterback is good, and they're very balanced. I believe their running back really made some impressive waves with 6 touchdowns against Lone Star. Mm-hmm. And that was a team that Ryan beat 7-6 in a defensive showdown. So I think you can't underestimate everything that College Station brings to the table. They're not that far removed from a state title. I believe they won back in 2017, beat Aledo. So they're not that far removed. They've been there. They've done that. They know what it takes to win. And this is the test, coming off of a second straight game against Longview. This is the test. If you can win this, you really put yourself in a position to be in the state championship game.
Certainly. What has surprised you though to know that Ryan is 2-score, 13-point underdogs according to some computer models out there? Does that surprise you at all?
Yes and no. It doesn't. It surprises me from the standpoint that they're coming off back-to-back state final appearances. They've only lost one regular season game in 6-7 years. They're consistently deep into the playoffs, and people just kind of look past them. They maybe get enamored by some of these high flying opponents, and they think that that's the team to beat. And that's nothing against College Station, because they are a team to beat and they're very, very good. But I think you're talking about the defending state champions, and until somebody rises up and beats them, I struggle to really bet against them, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. 2019, I think it was, when you were at that game with me, Stephen,
yes, sir.
the Lone Star game in Allen, and everybody and their mom picked Lone Star to win that game. And why? Because obvious, they had Marvin Mims, they had Rangel. They had studs everywhere all over the field. They had a stud running back. They were really good. And what happened? Ryan went in there and, to use a phrase from Dave Hennigan, beat the lips off of them. And, it didn't shock me that happened. It shocked a lot of other people there.
No, that's a very fair point.
So when you go into a game like this, Ryan, College Station, everybody's picking College Station to win. They're undefeated. They deserve all the credit in the world. But all I'm saying is, I don't think that this is, and I could be dead wrong, but I just don't think that this is a clear-cut College Station victory. I just really don't. I feel like Ryan's defense by itself can take them all the way to the state championship. And, they're not going to give up 300-something yards on the ground. If they do, it would be a complete shock. I just think they line up against everybody extremely well and find ways to pull pull out victories when most people don't think they're going to do it.
Well, Steve, is evidenced by that early season matchup, Denton Guyer versus Denton Ryan,
Yes.
very low scoring game, credit to that Denton Ryan defense, which will need to stand tall tonight.
Yes, I agree with that. You look at their schedule, they've been really battle tested over the last couple of years, and they've really been able to show what that defense can do. They played against Denton Guyer the last 2 years. That's one of the top flight Class 6A program, especially this year. They're right in the mix to go win another state championship. And that was a deadlock defensive showdown for the majority of that game. And, they've played Longview twice this season. They've played Lone Star. And really, they came out of that stretch against those types of teams with a 3-1 record. And then here they are, and they're in the region final for the 7th straight year. The defense has always been the name of the game over at Ryan. They've got players all over the place. Anthony Hill is a 5-star linebacker, can pretty much go wherever he wants to go. Michael G coming off the edge at defensive end. He's phenomenal. They've got great interior linemen. And their secondary has improved immensely since the very beginning of the season. A lot of unproven guys have really stepped up. Like Gary Rion Robinson had a monster interception at the 6-yard line last week to thwart a Longview drive that had Longview scored in that situation, it would have been a completely different scenario, given that the game was a 4-point victory for Ryan. So I just think they hang their hat on defense, and it's very hard to score points.
Yeah, no, that very valid point. So my question though is, and I wanted to, this is more for just your opinion based. So given what they lost from a year ago and winning state title, you're losing Jatavian Sanders, you're losing Billy Bowman, you lost Seth Hennigan, all these guys.
Yeah.
If Ryan were to get back to state for the 3rd straight year, would that be the most impressive run in your mind? Because to me it is. And that is a testament to Hennigan and being able to coach up the rest of the guys who were next in line, also while integrating them with the guys who are already coming back. So I'm curious to know what you think on that.
Couldn't agree more. I think the coaching job that Hennigan and his staff have done this season with basically an entirely new offensive unit has been nothing short of impressive. I mean, yeah, they've got Caleb Hicks back at running back, and their offensive line is veteran heavy, but you're talking about a lot of skill guys that were lying in the weeds, kind of playing second fiddle to guys like Jatavian Sanders and Billy Bowman. They were really quality athletes, but you got to get the ball to Bowman and Sanders any chance you can get. So when you lose guys like that and you lose a Division I quarterback, that wrecks so many programs in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But Ryan has found a way to continue to move the chains. Yeah, are they scoring at the same clip that they've been scoring at? Average close to 50 points a game. No, they're not. They're a completely different offense, and at times you sit there and you wish, God, come on, just let's put some more points on the board. I mean, I think they're only averaging 30, 35 or so points a game, but they're efficient. They don't turn the ball over. They don't make a ton of mistakes. And Hennigan and his crew, like I said, I can't say enough about them, just being able to get the most out of what they have on that side of the ball and doing just enough to continue winning these ball games and taking enough pressure off of that stud defense that they have.
Yeah. Well, so my last question to you is, this is your second game in 3 weeks going to McLean, right?
It's the first one. The last time it's the second out of 3 weeks that I've been to Waco.
Oh, Waco. Okay. So have you been in McLean before? You enjoy that stadium?
I have. It's been a few years, man. Last time I was here, I covered an Argyle football game, a playoff game. I can't remember. I think it was Abilene Wiley that they played, if I'm not mistaken. But that was like probably 4 or 5 years ago. So I don't remember a whole lot about it. I'm old, but
yes, you are.
Yes, I am. Thank you for agreeing with me.
You're welcome. It takes courage to agree with you.
That's exactly why Steve had to eat before 5 p.m.
The Lubies run.
Oh my gosh, you had to go there.
Sorry,
Piper,
Steve.
you're older than me, Piper. Remember that. You're older.
We were friends before the show started.
Anyway, but no, I'm really looking forward to going over to McLean. I haven't been there in years. It was a nice setup while I was the one time I was there, but it has been a few years. So I'm trying to piece together the memories of the last time I was there.
Very good. Well, hey, keep your ranch off your fries, you heathen, and have fun.
There is nothing wrong with ranch, man.
Newspaper Steve on the road from the Denton Record Chronicle. Man, part of the Texas high school football media mafia. Man, it's always such a pleasure, Steve, when you can join us. And hopefully we can continue this next week talking about a Denton Ryan victory.
I hope so, too. Let's keep this thing going with Texas high. Amen.
All right, man. Hey, have a great game. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Man, good stuff. Steve is
Love me some Steve Gamble.
Just a real pro. And what I've learned, in doing this for 5 years now, is just a very, very limited part-time media person, Steven, is the commitment. Guys like yourself, Newspaper Steve, Reese Waddell, you can go on and on and on. You mentioned Matt Stepp earlier, just the commitment to show up, the preparation that goes into covering a high school program, getting to the stadium and just all the logistics. And it's just, it's a passion project.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not going to do things like you're going to get at college or the professional level where things are just going to be handed to you left and right. If you want stats, you got to find that yourself. You got to hunt down all that, media
Army
from
of one.
Absolutely. You want to, get access into the stadium. You have to make sure you talk to the right person and then follow up with that right person and follow up with somebody else. And maybe you have to talk to another coach. It's definitely a passion project for sure. But shout out to everybody who is so willing to be able to put up with it for 18 weeks of a year and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
To make it come to fruition. And that's not even including the coaches and the support staff and everything like that who have to do with it for much longer.
Well, Steven, we just got 2 more previews, Aubrey and Salina, and then we'll wrap up with Geyer and Prosper. But you're going to be covering that Aubrey game tonight. I know you've got to get out of the studio here shortly to get up to Apogee Stadium. But I know you, like we were just talking, a lot of preparation going into this game. What are your thoughts on this rematch?
So I haven't seen Salina in a few years, and the last time I saw them, they were pretty good, but I know they've gone down a little bit, and they've kind of resurged back up. They dominated. I mean, just completely blew away Aubrey in their first matchup, and that was the 4-4 AD2 opener for both of these schools, and Salina won 49-14. I haven't seen anything from Aubrey in the couple of games that I've covered that makes me think that this is going to be anything less than a just slobber knocker. I mean, it's just one punch after the other, both on offense and defense. Like I said earlier, I love watching Braylon Colgrove and Martavius Hill run the ball. They are what the Cowboys try to do with Julius Jones and Marion Barber. You have thunder and lightning. You have one who is just speed and cuts and will find a hole and just accelerate. The other one who's just a bruising running back and will bowl you over if you get in his way. He always falls forward. I never have seen in 2 games. I haven't seen him taking 1 loss yet for a carry. And Aubrey's gotten healthier, according to head coach Keith Ivey. And so it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be an interesting rematch. I know this game is one of the least talked about across the state when it comes to the games that are this weekend. Like last night, you had Shiner and Refugio. Quick note about that. 2 A schools with a combined enrollment of 437 people sold out an 11,000 seat stadium.
That's awesome.
In Victoria, Texas.
Now that's what Friday Night Lights is all about.
Oh yeah, nobody does it better than Texas high school football. But that's crazy. So I mean, you have a plethora of matchups, and so this one's kind of get lost in the wash. But I still think it's a great matchup. You're halfway through the playoffs now. Nobody's here by accident at all. You've got skins on the wall. You've got a lot of double-digit win teams, very few single-digit wins. Most of them have maybe 1 or 2 losses at most. So you're going to get the cream of the crop. And so seeing this one again, it's going to be fun to watch, and they both play well in the playoffs, and I expect nothing less than a hard-fought game on both sides.
Well, what's cool, Steven, is I get to experience the best of both worlds. I come out of Kentucky, where the state basketball tournament is very similar to the Texas high school football state championships. They come out of 16 teams make it. They converge typically on Rupp Arena there in Lexington, Kentucky, where the Kentucky Wildcats play. And they sell that thing out, 23,500 people to come watch Kentucky high school basketball.
Yeah, but Kentuckians love basketball.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot else to do. Right?
That's fair enough.
I'm kidding. Well, hey, man, this has been awesome. And I want to throw a shout out to one of our sponsors before we wrap up and talk a little Geyer Prosper action, if that's okay. And thank you, and you for everybody that tunes in. A lot of folks will be watching this on the replay. And, man, it's an exciting time of season. And how about the holidays, man? You got some big Christmas plans there, Steven?
No, not really. We holidays come around. We try to keep it as low key and relaxed as possible. My wife is she's from another country, so they celebrate Christmas a little bit differently, and it's meal prep and everything like that. Right. This year, she's kind of taken a backseat to the whole 24 hours or 2 whole days of meal prepping and everything like that, and just I'm just gonna buy trays and do it easily. So we'll see how that works out.
We got the studio decorated a little bit back there.
Oh, look at that!
Not a very good job, but again, reminder: if you're near Denton, Texas, and you're not going to a game, come up here and experience the Christmas tree lighting right here on the beautiful town square in Denton, Texas. But hey, quick shout out to our friends at Gillian Brothers Roofing. They're honoring their Cyber Monday deal. Gillian Brothers Roofing is offering the free winter-ready roof inspections this month. A lot of times you don't know you have a problem with your roof until it's too late. It starts to leak or there's some other issues. But the winter is one of the best times of the year to get your roof inspected. Texas weather's brutal all year long on roofing systems. So give them a call. They'll have their 14-point winter-ready roof inspection. It'll inform you of your roof's current condition. You can schedule a free winter-ready inspection. You can give them a call at 940-315-ROOF, or give Matt, shoot him an email over at matt@gbrothersroofing.com. How about your roof? Have you inspected it lately?
Yeah, actually, I didn't go with them because I just heard about them for the first time today.
There you go.
But we did not know that we had a roof problem until we had a leak. And so I can definitely vouch for.
And this was not scripted.
This is not scripted. Definitely get your roof inspected, especially after we have like these brutal winters and these hailstorms, and even the wind can ruin your roof. So definitely get your roof inspected. If you're seeing any weirdness in your ceiling, like some spotting and everything like that, it's time to get it fixed.
Steven, I was on the phone with some of my buddies from Kentucky that follow Kentucky high school football, and there's a big 2A matchup tonight up in northern Kentucky. I think it's Beechwood, which is in northern Kentucky, against one of the Jesuit schools up there that dominates a lot of Kentucky football. And we were talking, I was telling about some of the stadiums down here, and I'm going to flash up Allen Eagle Stadium. You can get an idea there. That, folks, is a high school built for high school football.
65 million.
They use it for a little multi-purpose stuff now, like high school graduation and stuff. But Allen Eagle Stadium, home of the Allen Eagles. And man, one thing that's a head scratcher to me, Steven, is that the enrollment over there is around 6,800, I believe, in a high school.
It's the biggest school district in Texas, and it's a school of one, and they have definitely kept it as so. Every bond meeting, every school, whatever, they're just no more schools. We're going to keep it as one.
And I'm going to be traveling over there, and I'm going to be on the call.
Hey, you're going to be there
tomorrow.
I'm going to be there,
and like we talked to Steve, man, we're going to stay off the hot dogs, all the crazy stuff we'll see in the press box. Yeah. Let's try to eat healthy tomorrow. What do you think?
No.
You saw that Thanksgiving deal?
Oh, absolutely. Once the holidays happen, I'm a seafood fan, and then I see the food and I eat it.
Yeah, and Allen Eagle Stadium, I think we'll be broadcasting, and I like this. Actually, we'll be on the mezzanine level, so we'll have a feel for the game, the stadium. I like doing games like that versus being in the glassed-in press box. I mean, these press boxes are unbelievable, as you know. But so we'll be out on the mezzanine. I'll look for you, before kickoff, and it should be a lot of fun. I haven't glanced at the weather yet, but it's a little misty out tonight. I don't know if it calls for a little bit of chance of rain tomorrow.
Cloudy, and then mostly sunny in the afternoon. Chance of rain in the evening. So it shouldn't affect the game. It just might be a little windier in spots, but I think we'll be fine.
Well, one thing about this game, they played each other earlier. They're in the same district, 35-7.
Geyer and Prosper, right?
Yes, Geyer and Prosper. We're talking Geyer and Prosper. And what are your thoughts? I know it's hard to really dominate a team the second go around. You know, our friends at Dave Campbell's Texas football, the point spread, if there's point spreads on high school games, which they have a computer that does the and calculates this stuff, obviously has Geyer as the favorite. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to replicate the second time around unless you're just like heads and tails better than the other one. And I don't think Geyer is heads and tails better than Prosper. Yes, they won 35-7 their first time out, but Prosper has definitely adjusted and gotten better throughout the year. They won their next three, and then season finale they just didn't care and didn't show up against McKinney Boyd because their positioning was already solidified. Then they've scored average 55 points their last two playoff games, and that's the third straight week that Geyer will have played a team that has scored 50 or more points the week before. And that's taxing on defense. But shout out to the Bowen brothers, Marquand Pope, all the front seven with Etheridge and I forget his name now, Opena,
Alani Pacun,
yeah, all of them. And it's just that's a unit
Rowan
that is
Briggs.
Yeah, that's a unit that is definitely being asked to do a lot, and they have stepped up to every challenge. Now, granted, they had a matchup nightmare against Byron Nelson last week. They gave up their season high in 502 yards, and a season high in passing yards too. And a lot of that had to go back to them missing Yates. Yates was out for that game, so they had some defensive breakdowns because they had a second team guy on there. And so when you find that weak point, credit to Byron Nelson for being able to attack it and make it a problem. I don't see this being a blowout. Prosper beat Allen in that run for the first time ever in program history. Geyer's never beaten Allen. So it's just, I think it's a toss-up. I think 9 is a little generous in the computer computer margin.
Have you ever found out what they use, what algorithms they put into
it's just something that they've built internally. I've kind of
probably take some point differentials and different.
I mean, I imagine it has to do something with like the ELO rankings and all that kind of stuff, and what strength the schedule is, and all that stuff that you factor in with who they've played, who they've beat, who other teams have played and lost, and all that stuff, and common opponents and everything like that. So I think this is going to be a one possession game. Geyer's 2-1 in one possession games, but I've also been known to be very wrong. But when you're playing a team for the fourth time in 2 years, their weaknesses, their strengths. Right. They had to walk off in overtime last year with Eli Stowers over in McKinney. So I think we're going to see something more on that side of the ball than we are going to see 35-7.
I saw you over at the Star in Frisco, Texas, against the Jesuit, Geyer versus Jesuit. Now, Jesuit was a little down. I think they had some injuries, and I heard off the record some kids maybe suffering some flu symptoms and couldn't play. But Geyer made it look so effortless. Jackson Arnold, I think he tossed 7 touchdown passes and really made it look simple.
Yeah, he had 7 total touchdowns. I think it was 6 passing, 1 rushing was the total, or 5 and 2. One of the twos.
Stand corrected.
It was something absurd, but it's something I kind of offhanded said to him when I talked to him on, what was it? We were over there Tuesday. Was it Tuesday?
Yeah.
We were at Geyer practice. I was like, they all can't be Jesuit, right? When talking about the game against Nelson, he's like, no, they all can't, unfortunately. But it was day and night difference, and it really is going to have to come down to the type of start that Geyer has. And if Prosper can get Geyer in a hole like it did Allen, it has the defense to make them work harder than they need to get points. And if Prosper does that, they could easily walk away with as winners in this game. I'm not picking against Geyer, but I also, again, I'm not picking that 9-point spread. I don't see Geyer covering. If you're going to talk about, betting lines or whatever, I don't see them covering that 9 for sure.
Yeah, they're playing a really good football at the right time.
Both of them are.
I wouldn't say virtually injury-free, but not really injuries to note. So it's always important to be healthy this time of year, and having some horses in the barn. And man, it's been great, Stephen, for you to come in studio.
Yeah,
man. For Stephen Peters, Newspaper Steve Gamble, I'm John Piper. Thank you for tuning in live here in Denton, Texas. Y'all be safe and enjoy some Friday night football. We'll talk to you soon.